Okay, friends, I have been on vocal rest all day with the sincere hope that I can get through this and break this all down to you. I have not spoken to my dogs. I have not spoken to my boss. I have not spoken to my children today. I'll do that later. They're still here. So listen, a lot has happened in this day. I have my little cold drink right here in case I need to moisturize. And after I do this video, I'm gonna go back to vocal rest, which is me saying to my family, y'all leave me the hell alone, because vocal rest. Anyway, okay. So yesterday in court, Dick Harpootlian was trying to do an example of something, and he picked up a gun and he pointed it at the defense table, and one of the prosecution table, one of the prosecutors held up their hands, and Dick said something along the lines of like, "Don't tempt me," or whatever, and everybody laughed. I thought it was an incredibly poor taste. You know you're not supposed to point guns at people. Also, all of these people seem to be wildly irresponsible with guns. They leave guns all over the place. They leave them loaded. There's guns here, there, and everywhere. They're in the car. They're in the whatever. And then, because I had nothing but time today, because I took a sick day because of my throat, I watched the Netflix documentary. Honey, listen, let me tell you something. For the past 18 months, I have breathlessly followed every last moment of this case. There is nothing about this case you can't tell me. Yes, I know Jeannie Seckinger is related to Russell Lafitte. Yes, I know what color underwear Paul was wearing the day of the boat crash. Like, I know it all. That documentary gave me information I did not know. And you know who the hero of that entire documentary is? When you watch it, and I know you're going to watch it, do not take your eyes off of Paul's high school girlfriend, Megan Doty. Listen, she was his girlfriend for 4 years. She was in the house with the Murdaughs in unguarded moments, over dinner, here, there, and everywhere. Miss Doty goes behind the gates. She was in the house when things went down, and she saw a lot of stuff, and Miss Megan is here to spill the tea, and spill she does. She is afraid no more. She's not hiding no more. She is out here. She has things to say, and she says them all on Netflix. Also, Netflix, kudos for you for waiting so long to get this documentary out, because they have all of the Snapchat videos. They have the footage from everybody who ever collected video on any matter in this case. They are in this Netflix documentary. Mark Tinsley has a recreation of the boat accident that definitively proves who was driving the boat. This documentary was so chock full, I actually want to watch it again. I think it's in 3 parts or 4 parts. I binged them this morning before court started. So from like 5 to 8 a.m., something like that. Oh, wait a minute. It was all documentary all the time. Then I watched court all day, and now I'm going to go back and rewatch the documentary while I make my family leave me alone, because I will be on vocal rest. Additionally, I knew I had a lot to say. It is hard for me to not talk because, you know, blabbing is my gift. This morning, when the prosecution got up, they were like, "Oh, before the jury comes in, we have a question." I was like, "Okay, what's your question?" They asked the judge, if our client takes the stand, can we limit the scope of what the prosecution asks him? Everybody was like, "Oh, he's thinking about taking the stand?" And his lawyers were like, "We just want to know how to properly advise him." Y'all need to advise just to keep his behind over there in that chair. But so the judge was like, "No, you cannot limit the scope. If he gets up here, he gets up here. We're going to take it at a question by question basis." I strongly suspect that was just a play for the media. Alec Murdaugh is not taking the stand. Alec Murdaugh thinks that he can charm everybody and get away with everything like he's done his entire life. Alec, boo-boo, those days are over. Maybe Alec has not gotten the memo, but you could tell from the jail recordings that he was still maneuvering. He was still shaking. He was still trying to like make things happen. You know what they say in Hollywood? I have some like Hollywood type friends. What they say in Hollywood is that your career is over for 3 years before you realize it's over. Like you still out here like, oh, I'm about to get this next role. I'm gonna be on this thing over here. Alec, my friend, your days of power are long over. You just don't realize it yet. You still remembering like back how it used to be. Honey, those days are gone. And then because I had nothing but free time today, I put my feet up and I sipped my tea and I watched all Murdaugh all day. There is a quote from the Daily Mail. Now listen, talking to the Daily Mail is like talking to me. Yeah, they know some stuff, but you can't guarantee it's fact. Like, that's how the Daily Mail rolls. The Daily Mail was trying to interview Buster. I get the feeling they were like chasing him down the street with a camera type thing. And he made a couple of comments that gave me pause. They said, "We presume you're supporting your father." And he said, "You have no right to presume anything." And then he turned around and said, "I don't want to see it in writing. I don't want to see a headline that says I'm supporting my father." Oh. And as I reflected upon that and reflected upon this documentary and reflected upon court in general, it made me think, Buster Murdaugh. Now, let me be abundantly clear. I believe, my opinion, this entire family is likely garbage. Now, everybody, no one person is one thing, right? Like you could be good, you could be evil. I have a delightful side. I have a pure evil side. Probably so do you. I do not know you personally, but I suspect. I think the same is also true of the Murdaughs. And while there are obviously good sides to them, the worst side of them has been shown over and over and over. That aside, I believe that Buster Murdaugh is probably a whole lot like his daddy. You know, like mama and brother are dead for 3 seconds and daddy is in prison and you in Vegas gambling. What, boy? That don't even look right. Nah. It's clear to me that despite all the phone calls back and forth to mom and dad or whatever, he has distanced himself from this family. And who could blame them? It's a tremendous amount of pressure. They want him to be what they want him to be. They want him to go to law school. They want him to be a lawyer. He flunked out of law school and demonstrated no willingness or ability to go back, despite the unending pressure for him to go back. These murders and all of this tragedy that's happened in his family, I'm certain he wouldn't wish it on anybody, but it is an escape hatch for him, right? Like he can move away with Brooklyn, his very plain, but I'm sure adoring girlfriend, and they can start a new life someplace else, maybe closer to her family, and he could put the whole Murdaugh name behind him. Maybe he could go someplace where nobody knows the name Murdaugh. Like on the moon. I don't know where he would go. But I'm just saying, this is his opportunity to move far away. Listen, I know from not being close to your biological family. I'm close to the people I gave birth with. I'm close to the man I married. But my family of origin, not that close. And you know what? I live many, many miles from them, and that works for me. I see them when I want to see them. I don't see them for giant long periods of time. The phone always works, fine, whatever. That is the best setup for me. They have feelings about it, and I don't trouble myself with their feelings about it. But I'm just thinking Buster might pull a gossip rumor and innuendo and move far away from the family and only see them on Christmas. Buster, honey, sometimes it's the move. Sometimes it will revolutionize your whole life. I'm just saying, hey, family, I hope none of y'all are watching this. They don't even know I have a channel, so it's fine. Anyway, I'm just saying, this might be a get out of jail free card for Buster. Speaking of oh, Lord, I had a lot to say. Hang on. I don't want to dry out before I finish. Oh, I hope this thing is not muted. What if I have talked for 9 minutes and this is muted? Then y'all would just get me waving my hands around with no sound. Okay, finally, probably last but not least, unless I think of something else to say. That is that it occurs to me, right? Alec Murdaugh's bail is like $8 million, $9 million, $10 million, something like that, right? He has generational wealth. He has family funds, but because the money is held in trust, Nobody knows the exact amount of these funds, and there's no way to find out what their actual net worth is. Yes, Alec was tight. He was illiquid, right? Like, he had a lot of assets, but he didn't have a lot of cash. And right now, he has a ton more liabilities. The law firm, which I'm sure did really, really well, but didn't do like, we can loan you $10 million worth of well. If his parents had money, and his siblings had money, and there's money held in trust for the grandchildren and all of that other stuff, you would think that if they were willing of spirit, there's enough money set aside to get him out on bail. The fact that he cannot afford to get out on bail says, to me at least, this family is not as wealthy as we think they are, right? They might be small town rich, but they might be asset rich, but I don't think they're as rich as they want everybody to think they are. And I strongly suspect that that's a big part of why they're like, we're at the firm. Like, they want to do the big. Let me get on a private jet. Let me do this. Let me do that. Because listen, y'all see my car. I am not rich, but I know from rich. I have some rich friends. This is what I know. The people with the longest bank accounts that I know, you would never know it. To look at them, you would never know it. So when I see somebody in a Ferrari or a fancy whatever kind of car, right? I'm like, oh, new money, because my friends are old money. But I'm just like, they got money last week. They the first generation of wealth, and so they not gonna have generational wealth. You know who has generational wealth? Somebody who drives a Subaru instead of a Ferrari, for example. But it's striking to me that the Murdaughs, everybody said they lived humbly, but in a lot of ways, they were showing a lot of money, right? Like all the guns and the trips and the this and the that and the whatever. Upon reflection and talking about this with a couple of my friends, I don't think they're as rich as people think they are. And I think if they moved to another big city, they would be considered like lower class, like they wouldn't be in the 1%, right? They would be like regular folks if they moved to Miami. People would be like, oh, you call that money? Child, please. Like the fact that the kids rented when they went to college or lived in dorms, they didn't buy, like there are just certain little markers that you see when the family comes from deep pockets. And some of the little like silent signals that you see, I am not seeing with the Murdaughs. And not just Alec Murdaugh, I'm not seeing in the entire Murdaugh clan. It's really interesting. And I had not thought that much about it until a friend of mine pointed it out to me. She was like, wait, what about this? And what about that? And how come ... And I was like, oh, right. And she knows from money. I know from Toyotas with a cloth seat. She knows from money. Okay, y'all. I have got to shut it all down, put this whole situation back on vocal rest so I can save my voice to sing my children to bed tonight. They don't want me to sing them to sleep, child. My kids are big. But anyway, I'm going to go greet my husband when he gets home in a few minutes, and I'm going to cook some dinner, and then I'm going to take my behind right off to bed so I can watch the Murdaugh documentary on Netflix again. Please light a candle for me that I have enough voice to come to you tomorrow morning to run my mouth about this nonsense. Y'all have a great night, and I will see you later. Bye.